Just one thing about Bill, we've been having a lot of conversations lately in the community about how do we grow local business? How do we attract new businesses and that? And I gotta say, he's one of the better success stories around here. He started, I believe Thea and him arrived in town about the same time, and she tells stories about mattresses flying out of the windows of the flop house here. And he really has, he's a homegrown boy. Started out as a chef and has built quite the restaurant kingdom here. He's got 6 restaurants and growing nowadays. I was just out at his most recent one, Billy Blanca's. And so I think as we talk about what we want to look like and what we want to foster in new local businesses, we got some great success stories to look to. But on that note, we're all here because I'm running for mayor tonight. Yeah. And at the end of the day, being mayor is just a job. It's a job that's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of commitment. And when you apply for a job, even when it's for 7,500 people, usually they ask for references. So I've asked a few of my old employers to show up today and speak on my behalf, which I hope they will.
Are they here anywhere?
Yeah, they're here. So we have Charlie Sturgis, and Charlie can be credited with bringing me to town. Charlie and Kathy.
Scary. I'm not want to be held responsible.
You're now held responsible. It's a matter of record.
All right.
You know, and there are a couple of things I can credit to Charlie. One thing he really taught me how to do is...
Oh no!
I'm gonna lose my concentration here. No, Charlie actually, he probably doesn't get called this very much, but he was a good role model for a young guy coming to town. Aspiring to be my own business owner someday. And he also taught me how to work hard and play hard. That both are important living in Park City. And then Paul and Allison, they hired me when I was looking to get some marketing experience. And if I recall, I think I showed up at Paul's office and said, I'm looking for a job, and he said I wasn't hiring. He said I wasn't hiring.
He was suffering white line rejection.
So eventually we got there, and I learned quite a bit from Paul. He was a great mentor, taught me quite a bit about storytelling, taught me a lot about small business, but most importantly, I think what Paul and Allison taught me was how to run a values-based business. To them, it was very important that their business wasn't just about profit, that it really did give back to the environment and give back to the community, and that's something when I started my own business, I took to heart. Which brings me to my third employer. I think it was actually her father that hired me after I protested that I wanted to date his daughter instead. And I can't really list all the things that Thea's taught me, nor should I.
But I was going to talk about it. We're going to address Paul and I will cover that.
But I'll talk about 2 traits, because she's known as a tough lady, but Thea's one of the most compassionate people I know. And she really taught me how to approach business with a big heart. But she also really has encouraged me and always led by example of having courage in your convictions. So with that said, I think I'm going to hand it off to you guys in chronological order, and I think you have 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
Wow.
Let's see if they can handle it.
Wow, I can tell a lot of stories in 2 or 3 minutes. All right, so Andy thought I should actually sit here and talk about how he actually ended up coming up to Park City and why I brought him. And quite honestly, when I had to sit down and think about it for a minute, I just go, I don't remember why I did that at all. But, you know, because really it was actually kind of a misplaced kind of a reason. When I was down climbing in recreation all the time, Andy and I both climb, and I noticed that he was a hell of a climber, and I kind of sucked at it. So I said, well, I need a resident coach. So actually, that's not really it. What I did admire about Andy first off was down at Recreation as the manager down there, and had an opportunity to start looking for another manager, and he kind of heard about it and was bugging me. And the one thing you can say about climbers, I think, is that when you really look at a high-level climber, which I'm not, and Andy is, at least at the time, in those days, he might not fess up to that right now, but is that you have to be extremely diligent, you have to be basically extremely motivated, and you really have to be very detailed about what you're going to do and really kind of get involved. And so, you know, I don't usually, having hired a lot of ski bums in Park City and bike bums and whatnot, I don't usually go out and look at an athlete and go, hey, you know, this guy's going to be a great salesperson, because typically that doesn't work out. But when I started talking to Andy and climbing with him a little bit and understanding just where he was as a person and how it was reflected in his climbing, I sat there and said, this guy can do the job for me, even though he has sort of some experience. He definitely was up and coming, and he had guiding experience and all this other stuff. But he really had the integrity, basically the energy, and he was basically super fair, which in those days back here, hiring all sorts of local ski bums, he really had to deal with a lot of different issues and employees. And so it was really important that we had a guy leading the charge. He was hired as the general manager for White Pine, that was leading the charge in a really intelligent fashion and also a really fair fashion, because otherwise people weren't going to do the work for you. So Andy came on board, and one of the things that was probably the outstanding quality for Andy, I think, was he ultimately, anytime we had an idea on the table, he was willing to do the research, he was willing to do the diligence to see what was really the issue and what were the alternatives and what were the options. So we really didn't make a lot of decisions. When I make decisions, I'm definitely winging it, right? I wing it. So, and yet I'm still here, so I must have a reasonably good record of it. But on the other hand, Andy would always kind of hold me back and go, wait, let's go look into it. And so what I think he's bringing to this mayoral race, and what I think he can bring to Park City, is his willingness to actually work together with people really well. He has high integrity, and he's willing to look outside the box. He's willing to look, which ultimately the mayor of Park City is the coach. He's coaching the council. He's setting the tone, and I think Andy's going to be the right guy to do that.